Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them. Down to you. Yeah, well, 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Ripley, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top 3 here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them. Down to you. Yeah, well, 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Ripley, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top 3 here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them. Down to you. Yeah, well, 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Ripley, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top 3 here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them. Down to you. Yeah, well, 7 fouls and 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Ripley, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
and welcome into WHF Tier 1. I'm your host for this evening, WHF out, and we're here in a wet Baku, which... Oh, and there's a Cadillac off in the background. Let's see who's there. That's Rio Harris, showing his skill as... we were on board with Creamy momentarily, but just seen the Cadillac doing a little excavation. As, out of all the tracks for there to be really in, Baku is heavily down the list. But here we are. Rain in Baku. But, welcome in everyone anyway. I must say, was not expecting rain in Baku, but we'll see how this affects qualifying. Already is going to be some drama, I assume, with drivers going deep, as we've seen Rio Harris doing the Cadillac, but will everyone be able to keep their car in check? It's going to be a tricky enough track to try and keep the car together. But I assume no battery will be able to be used because of the wet weather, so everyone will have to have medium on for their laps. Which will go on board with Creamy in the McLaren for a lap. And does have the medium on, I believe, but this is the issue for me with the new game is just the new Ollie Bean says you can just focus on driving in the rain, but I mean, I'd rather you had the battery to use. But here, what can you do about it? I would rather either you had the battery to use, or no one at any point is allowed to press the battery button, because then no one is in control of the battery, and it's just, all you're worried about is actually driving the car, and not worried about the battery management that current F1 is. Basically, that's all it's about. As Creamy exiting Castle and being very cautious on his first run out. Did see a Red Bull with a yellow flag. Not quite sure what that was about, but we'll stick with Creamy as he heads into the heavy braking zone of turn 15. As let's just need to get the track map up again. As Creamy now exits turn 16, and it's just a flat out run to the line. But like, you should be able to... I feel like you should be able to burn the battery in straight line mode zones. But to be fair, I mean, I'm pretty sure Noah's in medium and it's used up some of his battery. But as you can see here, he's stuck in 182 mile an hour and not increasing at all, as he's got a 157. As in the background, we've got a couple Haas's on a run. We've got Dubsy leading a car across the line of Thori. Alex follows Thori across the line, and Alex into P1 with a 55.93 is Pablos in the Ferrari. It's going to be following potentially Nis coming back from holiday, although actually it's not Nis. Gordon goes quickest with a 54. I think it is Diggs starting a lap in the Red Bull as Pablos to the line. Where's he going to go? Pablos goes to P2 and Cookie to the line, and somehow Cookie's able to burn more battery than the rest of the drivers, as Cookie does a 54.0. And you can just kind of see as we cross the line, a couple of drivers are using more battery. I think Cookie's probably running medium even before he starts his lap, which I think is probably the quickest way to do it. Mallard to the line, getting a little bit of a tow from what I believe is a McLaren ahead, if I'm not mistaken, as Mallard goes to P5. It's actually a V-carb. Just looked like it had an orange back to it there, as Mallard goes P5 with a 56.294. As we cross the line, it's I think it was Nuki, and I'm not sure who the other car was. Fakiri Fakiri into P3. As Nis now returning from holiday and is going to look to challenge Cookie for pole here. And Nis, as you can see, is almost out of battery, and he's currently at 185 mile an hour. That's the quickest I've at least seen before, or seen so far. And to the line with a 1:53.028, a second quicker than Cookie, and Cookie's almost a second quicker than Gordon, who's almost a second quicker than Fakiri. So there's massive gaps out here as things stand currently. But Nis seems to be the driver who's currently got it worked out best, as Dubsy clips the wall on his run and will charge the line in this Haas, as we've seen a driver improve there. I think it might have been Pablo's, or who was it? Maybe it was Creamy, I'm not quite sure. But someone in the midfield, maybe Thory, as Dubsy across the line does not put in a representative lap time, as Diggs to the line he goes, getting towed along by an Audi, and Diggs crosses line into P4. Massive lap there from the Tier 2 Ferrari driver reserving for Red Bull this evening, as Raza Gamer yet to set a lap along with Cyclix and Ollie. Riohar serving a quali ban, and he has served that quali ban, so I shall remove that from the ongoing penalties. As Raza to P3 with a 54.753, as it goes a bit deep at turn 1 there. And else on a lap. Fakir doesn't seem to be pushing Thory on a lap potentially here. Although again, it's weird seeing 100% battery at parts of the track. As TJ says, hopefully the race is as good as last season. And Ollie Bean in the chat says, Baku's always a good watch. And speaking of, I don't know if either of you are around, but do you want to race? Ollie Bean and TJ, do you want to join the madness of wet Baku? The options there if you want it, lads. Oh, Ollie Bean says sure. We'll get Ollie Bean in. And Thory to the line. Can he improve on his lap? And he does. He goes a second half slower, as Nuki, I believe, is second up, as Dubsy was improving on his time, but is going to come in for a better attempt. Cyclix on his, what I believe is his WHF debut. Cyclix goes P2 with a 53.672. Massively strong lap there from the Audi reserve, and I'm sure Audi will be glad to have sneaked him in right before we went going. And it is a very, very strong lap from the Audi reserve. He might not need to improve on that lap at all, and he might still qualify very well here. It seems if you set a strong banker in these conditions, a lot of drivers struggling. We've got a big gap. If you look even from Ness down to lowered, it's 5 seconds is the gap. Dubsy still not set a representative lap time, and Ollie up to the line will surely look to improve. As I think Mallard might have improved there. Mallard to P5, Ollie goes P11. But I feel like it's the kind of conditions where you just need to go out, do a couple of runs on the same tyre almost. Nuki improves by a second and a half, but only to P15. As Nis improving now. And to the line, can our current pole sitter extend his margin? And he does just that, improves by half a tenth and gets into the 52s as Ollie Bean's joined us. And Ollie Bean, I believe, should be reserving for Williams. And if he forgets to pick Williams, then he is not smart, because he's a Williams driver, so if he picks any other car, that's a bit silly. Anywho, I think we did see Lord jump up there. Lord into P8 with a 55.787. As Pablo's, I believe, just starting a lap. We've got, it might be Thory in the background. Thory, is he improving though? I don't think so. I think he's just going for another out lap. Cyclix doing the same. Cookie should be next around in the Ferrari. Cookie won last time out and is currently the championship leader, just ahead of Fakiri. And can Cookie extend his margin at the top today, or will Nis start to mount his title comeback already here in round 4? And Cookie with the 52.543. Massive improvement there from Cookie, a second and a half. He's pulled out of the bag, but how much time do the rest of these cars have in them? It's quite difficult to tell. There's such big gaps in qualifying currently, and we could see massive improvements. Fakiri on an out lap, Pablo's halfway through his lap, Alex into the penultimate corner as he crunches the wall, using the wall for rotation. That's how we like to see it, as Godzilla, I think, has just slightly improved. Nuki Lad up on his lap by a decent margin here. And can Nuki Lad improve his position? Let's see, as Nuki Lad crosses the line and into P8. Massive improvement from Nuki. And Ollie Bean says, I am big brain, don't worry. And Ollie Bean has got the Williams, so he's made the smart decision as Alex into P4 for Williams. Has now got a teammate for this evening. So there's still 2 more spots. So as Alex loosey-goosey on the rear. If anyone does want to join, let me know and I can get you in. There's only 5 minutes left of qualifying as Gordon goes P5. Strong improvement there from the McLaren. And a lot of these cars are going to want a big improvement. Pablo's potentially coming to the line. Is he boxing? I think he is boxing. He was only 10th to the good there, which wouldn't have got him many positions, as Lord down into turn 1. And I think Lord using medium up until the straight. And you can see you regain 30% into turn 1, so it's really not worth not using medium down the main straight, you know what I mean? It's just, as he's hit the wall. That's a wall there, mate. Interesting. Anywho, Fakiri on a lap. But is anyone close to finishing one? Godzilla not on a proper push, but Nis might be. No, that's Apex is not there, mate. As there's a McLaren right behind Nis, who might be a bit annoyed by his presence. And it's Creamy. Well, Creamy's just on an out lap, so I don't think he'll worry too much, but there was a driver earlier that we did keep an eye on. It was Fakiri in the Audi. Currently P2 in the standings, but with a lot of people taking... Star says, impossible, I'm not there to win it. Well, Star, you can... there's still space in the lobby if you want to join. As Fakiri to the line, where can he go to? And up to P4. And as things stand, it's another brilliant result for Audi with a P3 and P4. TJ missing, but TJ replaced by a very quick driver in Cyclics. And Audi looking for another strong result here. And Audi Tier 1 is having a great season. Oh, as Diggs is out! Diggs is out just as we see him spin in the middle sector. And Diggs out, exiting turn 3. And that is going to be some cleanup. Thankfully, not for... thankfully, there'll be no actual blockages on track. As we'll stick with Nis as he tries to challenge Cookie to pole position. But Diggs out as he tried to improve on P10. Nis through the middle sector. He goes skating the rear through every corner. Can Nis find extra time? As we'll keep an eye on his delta as he exits each sector. As I think there's someone stopped at turn 2. They may have went a little bit deep. And may need to get that turn. Looks like an Audi from here. Wasn't this absolutely skating through Castle? Almost skimming the wall. And this rallying the Red Bull around the Baku streets. I want a big wheel flick as he clips the wall. As Nis trying to gain every tenth he can. And he's up by 2 tenths. Does he have 2 tenths in hand to catch Cookie? Down the back straight. Well, actually the main straight, when you come to think of it. As Cookie currently 4 tenths to the good. Does Nis have an extra 2 tenths in hand? And Nis to the line. improves, but not enough to get Cookie. And also, Nis might have enough time to get around for another lap, but he's got to be pushing flat out. As Dubsy's retired for the rest of the session. As we see Thori losing some end plate there as he rounds the right-hander. Pablo's on a run in the middle sector. Anyone close to actually finishing a lap here? Ollie Bean going to get a lap on the board. Cyclics starting a lap. Lord is retired. Fakiri halfway round on his lap. Gordon on an in. Ty up to the line, although he's doing another push lap. I think Gordon... Or who was it again? We've lost whoever was first in the train. I think it might be Fakiri. And we'll stick with Fakiri just to keep an eye. But I think he is the last, or the first driver around on a push lap. Currently P4. Half a second back from his teammate. And a further 1.4 to Nis. Never mind 1.6 to Cookie. The gaps up front are massive here in this wet Baku. As Fakiri going to get a little bit of a tow from a McLaren ahead. And can Fakiri improve at all on this lap as he comes up to the line? He does get a big improvement. 8 tenths does Fakiri, getting into P3 he goes. Massive improvement. Gordon gives him a massive tow to the line. As Cookie out there on a lap. But I think Pablos... I think he's going again as Pablos. Is there anyone behind Pablos? It might be Ollie Bean on a push. Let's see how Ollie Bean goes. Williams tier 2 driver reserving for Williams today. Creamy stays P13 as Ollie goes up to P5. Massive improvement there from Ollie. As the other Ollie of Ollie Bean goes P18, gets ahead of Godzilla. As the two rival tier 2 drivers battle. Meanwhile, Cyclics 6 tenths to the good. That would certainly put him ahead ahead of his teammate. But can he get up to the likes of Nis and Cookie? And Cyclics actually really burnt his entire battery. So can the Audi grab any extra positions here as he crosses the line, gets into the 52s with a 52.961. Let's see who else is out there on a push. Is Raza razzing it round. Cookie goes quicker with a 52.399. Who else is on a push? We'll stick with Raza for now, as I think Nuki Lad's actually going to be the next driver across the line, as I think it might have been Thori crossing just ahead of him, but Nuki to the line gets P12. Raza next will be crossing the line. Alex following him along as Raza goes P10. Alex next across the line goes to P5, gets just ahead of Ollie. It's one of Ollie's best qualifyings of the year, as Godzilla to the line, 8 tenths to the good, and this could be a big improvement for the V-Carb driver. And into P13 he goes, massive improvement as Mallard goes to P9, just ahead of his Mercedes compatriot for today, as Gordon into P6. Fakiri to the line, doesn't look like he's improving. Pablos needs a big improvement here. He's 1.5 to the good, and where can Pablos go? He's P18 and jumps all the way up to P9, and the Ferrari massively needed that improvement. Went up 9 positions there as he came up to the line, and I think that is us. But Cookie back on pole again ahead of Nis. Cyclics, the debutant, doing massively well in the Audi alongside Fakiri. Alex in P5. Next it's Gordon. Ollie with one of his best qualifyings of the season ahead of Ty, Pablos and Mallard, who I'll say Ollie and Mallard have a reputation for not being great in qualifying, but great in the race. But now that they've had a great qualifying, maybe Ollie and Mallard have an outside chance of the podium, because if you put together their great racing and now they've actually had a great qualifying for once, maybe it's on, lads. Is it on? Put in the chat if you think an Ollie or Mallard podium is on. If Ollie or Mallard get a podium, I am going to do some very inappropriate things. So I'm not gonna say any further. But yeah. But get yourself a drink. We're gonna be ready in at 8:30 Get yourself a drink, some sweets. Get yourself a Fanta Lemon or a Bacardi Breezer. Those are your two options. Personally, I'm going to the Fanta Lemon, but we won't have a wet. As Ali Bean says, calm down. Oh, it's not clubs just yet. Here, I think a Mallard or Ollie podium is even better than what clubs can give you. But either way, we've got 20 drivers for 26 laps around the Baku circuit in Azerbaijan. Here in round 4, Cookie leads the championship ahead of Fakiri, and Cookie on pole ahead of Nis returning from holiday, with Cyclix, the debutant for Audi today, just ahead of Fakiri on the second row of the grid. And it'll be very interesting to see how Cyclix can get on in his debut. And will any team captains be looking around and thinking that Cyclix could be a good signing for their teams? I know one team that's desperate for a tier 1 driver who turns up, who could sign him if they wanted to. But we'll have to see. Alright, so... oh my god. Cookie is just... Cookie in the chat has said that your AI can go quicker than the straights. What is this game? What is this game? These are the bugs that only Cookie can find. What the hell? When you pause going down the back straight and your AI goes quicker. What the hell? Oh, this game is impressive. Very impressive. Anywho, get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think's going to win this one? I don't think Cookie will be pausing down the main straight here in a sunny Baku race, as it'll be a bit more difficult to defend whenever you're in the AI menu. Also, we only run 65 AI, so they're definitely not quick down the straights in comparison whenever it is dry weather. But the drivers should be readying up now, and we'll have to wait and see how this race goes. A reminder, there'll be no ghosting, so we may see some chaos like we've seen last season with the car flipping on its head. Hopefully the stewards don't have a headache after this race, but I fear headaches may ensue. What can you do? As we hear the chimes counting down. As we will have the 5 red lights on here in Baku. And it's lights out and away we go down to turn 1. Cookie's got a good start. Nis right in behind, looking for the move. Cookie side by side with Nis. They have a little bit of contact as the Audi of Cyclix now round the outside of Nis, looking for a move. As Fakiri's got shunted in the back. We can't even see what is happening around him because the camera angles are not giving us anything. As in the background, a big amount of shunts, but I think everyone's gotten away relatively cleanly. Never mind. As for some reason Mallard's ghosting and there's a VSC out. And Raza with a little bit of contact in the middle pack, but there's been a lot of contact here as Cyclix gets ahead of Nis at the VSC. But for whatever reason, there was some ghosting there. I don't understand why. The ghosting's off. But there's ghosting from Mallard there. Who knows why, but here we are. As Nis, I think Cyclix has accidentally, illegally overtaken Nis. And unfortunately for Cyclix, there isn't a lot of places for him to give the position back. And you never know, the VSC could be going green And we are going green, and Cookie already has dropped the hammer, and he's 2 seconds down the road. Cyclix, I think, was trying to let Nis back through again, and instead now has left himself a sitting duck to Nis in behind. And Cookie now is going to try and disappear down the road. Cyclix is letting Nis back through again, but that VSC may have cost them dearly. Rio Haas, who had the quali ban, all the way up to P13. As a car into the box, it's Pablo's. As Thori and Nuki side by side. Thori tries to get round the outside. Thori leaves the track though, goes a bit deep. And that opens the door to Creamy on the inside. And I just love the camera angles this game gives you. Sometimes just not at all what you want to see. But everyone getting away cleanly. But Pablo's the only driver into the box on lap 1. He's got early damage to deal with. Cyclix on the rear of Nis. As in the background, Nuki lad down the order. He's gone deep at turn 3. Nuki. Oh, and he's bended into the wall for some reason. That was a strange one. Very strange. Maybe he accidentally left the battery on or something. Can't quite work out what happened there with Nuki. Either way, he's got damage now, so that's going to be a bit of a headache for him, as Nis is going to try and catch up to Cookie, but never been an easy task in WHF. But can Nis do it now as he charges on the rear of the championship leader? But Nis is no slouch. Can he catch the Ferrari as Cyclix in behind Nis as well? As we head down the order, we got Raza right on the rear of Ollie. Yellow flag out for Nuki. He's gone deep at turn 15, and it's another VSC. Right as Raza was trying to get ahead of Ollie there, and Nuki has no front wing. He has went deep at turn 15, and unfortunately for Nuki, damage. As what's happened here? What's going on? I think Cyclix keeps overtaking Nis under the VSC, but I don't think, I feel like Cyclix is getting the message late or something. As Nuki's retired from the session, Lord exiting the box on mediums. Lord might have some damage because I think he's out on another set of mediums. Can't quite tell what is exactly happening under these VSCs. It seems like the VSCs are coming out in Cyclix. As we're going green flag racing, Dub Z gets a drive through. Raza gets Ollie before Castle. Brilliant thinking as Cyclix pulls out of the way of Nis again. And I think that is what's happening, is Cyclix is... the VSC's coming out and Cyclix isn't getting a message before Nis it does. Nis gets it maybe earlier than Cyclix does, which is very strange. As in the background, Raza down the inside of the Audi and the McLaren, as the Audi and the McLaren come together. Fakiri with big damage, and what's happened? Fakiri pitted into the wall by the McLaren of Gordon, and Fakiri now down to P9. Big damage for the Audi, and it looked like Fakiri was having an issue before he even got to that corner, and front wing missing on the Audi. As he's going to look to come into the pit lane as Gordon gets ahead of Raza down into P5. In the background, Ollie joining this battle along with Ty Clear as Fakiri comes into the box, and an unfortunate race so far for Fakiri is Mallard right on the rear of Rio Harris, who's now been promoted to P9. What a recovery drive it's been for Rio Harris here. Quali ban to P9 this thing stands, start on the hard tyres, and he is inside the tree into P5 here. Meanwhile, Cookie still leads Nis, and Nis, I think, possibly annoyed as there's a yellow flag out. Who's it for? Well, for Kiri's missing a nose, but I think that's a visual glitch. Pablos, his car... oh, he's missing a right end plate. Pablos has got more damage in the Ferrari. Cyclics crunches the wall. Raza catches Gordon before the castle as well, and Raza's made that move twice. We've never caught it either time because it's such a place you don't expect to see a move made. As Rio Haas down the inside of Ty Clear through the right-hander, and I think Ericsson hit us as Rio down the inside of Ty Clear. Not the place you want to be making a move, and Rio almost made it stick as he's right on the rear of the Haas driver, but he's going to filter in behind the Haas's. He's going to look for the exit, and can Rio get ahead of Ty? And who has managed their battery better here? As we head down the main straight, is Rio going to start to close on Ty? Ty closing on Ollie. And no moves down into turn 1. As Ollie down the inside of Gordon thought about the move but backed out. I think he was just trying to spook the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, Rio back on the rear of Ty. And goes for a little look down the inside of the Haas driver, but still unable to get ahead. Ty defending well here up in P8. And Rio back on the rear through the middle sector we go. And Rio side by side with Ty. Ty gets back ahead. Rio. Oh, what a switchback it is from the Cadillac if he can make it stick. Yes, he does. Beautiful move by Rio Haas in the middle sector. And Rio now up to P8, and what a race he's having, up 12 positions, I believe. And Rio going for the Driver of the Day trophy once again. Meanwhile, Cookie is checked out front, and we've got Cyclics and Nis battling over the podium. Alex in behind on the reverse strategy on the hards as Rio actually got ahead of Ollie. Ollie's got right end plate damage on the Alpine. Not quite sure what's happened to Ollie. Hopefully no contact with Rio for that damage to happen. But Ollie now may have to box a lot earlier than he was planning on with this early damage. But can Ollie hold on to position? We'll wait and see. Rio closing on the rear of Gordon. And down into turn 1, will he look for a late move on the McLaren? No, thinks he's going to back out and recharge that battery. In the background though, we got Thory and Creamy battling for position down into turn 1. Creamy on the inside, Thory around the outside. Thory gonna make it stick as Gordon and Rio battle on the exit of turn 2. And Rio ahead of the McLaren, as the McLaren looking on in this battle. Rio up to P6, massive race for him so far as Fakiri and Pablo's continue to battle as Dubsy leaves the box. And Dubsy's actually gone on fresh hards. Or did he leave the box? I'm confused. Stops? No, Dubsy's just there. I mean, I thought he'd left the box there for a second. That was a bit strange. Anywho, it looked like someone left the box there. Maybe it was just Ollie being in the box. Who knows? As Mallard chases on the rear of this train all the way down from P5 to P10. And Mallard having a fine evening, but he's also missing a right end plate just like Ollie is. So I did hope they would get a podium, but with the damage it's going to look to be unlikely now. As Cyclics now appears to have lost DRS from Nis, and Alex now going to look on the rear of Cyclics, picks the outside of the Audi driver, and Alex now up to P3. And can Alex get some overtake mode from Nis ahead? And Alex possibly could be fighting for P2 here as Rio down the inside of Raza. Raza going to look back ahead of the Cadillac driver, but the Cadillac driver having a major drive here. And despite Rio basically starting from the back in both his races so far, he's had a massive drive in both of them. And up to P5 Rio goes, and he'll hope to avoid a quali ban for next week, because I think he could do without it, as Fakiri on the inside of Dub Z. And Dub trying to defend P16, the last point available as P16. Creamy gets back ahead of Thori. We're going to watch Fakiri down the inside of Dub Z. Fakiri missing an entire nose as he does get back ahead of Dub. As Pablo's watching this battle as well. Thori losing out to Godzilla as Creamy got ahead there. And Mallard's actually got ahead of Ty Clear in the middle sector. Maybe a mistake from one of the two drivers. Ty and Mallard now 2 seconds off the train they were just in. Meanwhile, Gordon missing both end plates is the McLaren. Or no, just the left end plate is the McLaren missing. Meanwhile, Ollie is missing the opposite. Owen digs in the wall at turn 15. Doesn't look like it's going to be a safety car, but Alex ahead of Nis now, and Alex having a mighty fine drive here, doing a hard medium stint. And Nis now down to P3 as Ollie getting...
I am stupid.
Oh no, that's Gordon into the pit lane.
I am stupid.
As Ty on the inside of Mallard. As Godzilla on the rear of Thori, looking for a move but can't seem to make one happen. Meanwhile, Ty and Mallard continue to battle. We got Fakiri still ahead of the cars behind. Pablo's trying to get away past Dub Z if he can. And can't seem to find the route through, but has Dub made a mistake into turn 2? And can Pablos get ahead on the exit? Looks down the inside and a big contact between the Haas and the Ferrari, and the Haas just turns in on him on exit. And I think both drivers are going to get penalties for what happened there. Not the friendliest of moves from either driver. Meanwhile, we've got Godzilla ahead of Thori. Ty and Mallard battle into the final corner. And can Mallard burn the battery to get ahead of Ty as Ty looks to be already recharging? And Mallard actually going to come into the pit lane now. I wonder, is Mallard going to get that nose fixed? Meanwhile, down the order we go for Kiri on the rear of Lord. As these two chase. And I'd love to have a look at Fakiri's car, because he's just missing the front nose entirely as he makes the move on Lord up into P13 as he looks to get his recovery drive going. Meanwhile, up in the battle for the lead, Nis has dropped out of overtake mode from Alex and now has Cyclics to think about. Oh, Cyclics definite damage on that Audi. Hits the wall. Seemed to hit every wall in Castle there. And right end plate gone for Cyclics. He'll stick with Nis for this lap. But I think Nis might leave him in the dust in the next number of laps. That damage is going to really hurt him. Cyclics may be forced into an early pit stop. But if I were Cyclics, I would do it this lap onto the hard tyres to get rid of that front nose. Because that is going to hurt you throughout the entire lap. Throughout the entire middle sector. And I know Cyclics is close to Nis now, but through the next middle sector I doubt he will keep this close. Meanwhile, Alex actually has gained a second on Cookie, so how much can Alex gain? As Nis going to come in along with Cyclics, and Nis possibly making a good move as Cyclics gets the 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane penalty, and that's going to really hurt the debutantes race. Rio promoted to P3 as he's in his own little world, has built a gap to Raza in behind. And Rio now into P3. And we'll keep an eye on Rio's progress on the reverse strategy along with Alex. Alex has had a very strong drive. He's currently P2 and a net P2. He was ahead of Nis and Cyclix before the pit stop. Cyclix hopefully has got his front wing fixed, and yes, he has. And he's dropped 6 seconds behind Nis, but also as that 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty does the Audi driver, which is going to really hurt him by the end. As Story exits the box, Nis has got ahead of Ty Clear through the middle sector. Yellow flag out, and it's Fakiri's gone deep. Oh, Fakiri having another nightmare. And you don't really want to be doing a 3-point turn here, as he's reset the track in a very dangerous manner. And I think that may have given Ollie Bean some damage, as well as Fakiri having damage as well. And unfortunately for Fakiri, that is a big pain in WHF. But either way, here on lap 11, Cookie yet to do his pit stop along with a couple other medium runners. But the hard runners on this first stint have looked mighty fine. Rio and Alex have had great races so far. Meanwhile, Fakiri might have to box onto, hopefully he's another set of hards to use if he can. Ty now into the box. Down the order we go, Mallard on the rear of Dub. As Mallard looks to get ahead of the Haas. And down the inside, can the Mercedes go for the move? Side by side they go. And both leaving the room, and Mallard gets ahead of the Haas driver into P12. As Gordon on the inside of Lord McJigglebun as Fakiri's retired in the pit lane. And safe to say you could see that one coming with how his race had went. As Gordon and Lord battled for position. Gordon got ahead as Ollie on the rear of Raza, and Ollie still carrying that damage from early on. Hopefully he can get it fixed when he does come into the pit lane, or maybe in Ollie's case it's not affecting him too much because he still is having a very strong race. As Cookie enters the box, we've got Nis in behind Ollie and Raza, who may look to battle potentially even into the pit lane, as Raza pulls out to the left hand side. Is Ollie going to dive in front of him? No, Ollie's going to continue on as Nis is going to follow these two, but Raza into the pit lane to box as Nis now on the rear of Ollie. He's going to look to get ahead as soon as possible because he doesn't want to get held up through the middle sector with Ollie carrying that front wing damage. And Nis going to blow right by the Alpine waving him on through, flapping the rear wing to tell him go ahead. And Nis now, 5 seconds is the gap between him and Cookie running into the rear of Rio Harris, who may look to hold him up through the middle sector. Meanwhile, Gordon gets ahead of Codzilla, and I thought for a second there we were going to see Gordon hit the wall, but he keeps it together, and Gordon with a lovely dive into P8, but Gordon went a lot earlier than Raza, so Raza on the much fresher hard tyres should be able to stay ahead. As Cookie right on the rear of Rio Harris, trying to put some pressure onto the Cadillac driver. But I think he wants to be cautious and wait for the overtake mode, but I wonder, will he be thinking about Nis, who's on a charge and gaining a lot of time, with Cookie trying to be patient in behind Rio Harris? Is Nis going to gain a lot of time here? Is Cookie going to pick the inside of the Cadillac driver and gets ahead? And now the gap is at 3.6 to Nis. But I wonder, is Cookie going to try and use this extra battery that he'll have on this lap to try and battle for fastest lap. As Ollie comes in, we'll double check if he has a front wing waiting for him, and unfortunately Alpine right at the end of the garage as there's a yellow flag out. It's Alex! Alex, who was leading the race, has went deep. He's went deep at turn 3, and all his hard work for this reverse stint has been undone. He did so well to get ahead of Nis, but now it's Cookie cooking the rears as he's putting pressure on the Williams. Looks on the inside. Had to turn out of the corner to avoid any contact with the Williams. But Alex was doing so well to try and get P2 in this race. And now Nis might have been given P2 with Alex and Cyclics around and making mistakes. Meanwhile, Rio looks to get involved in this battle. And Rio's going to want to get involved in this battle because this is who Rio is racing. Rio is racing Alex if he can get close enough to him. And Rio needs to be pushing as hard as he can because he wants to get ahead of Alex as soon as possible, because if Rio gets inside that overtake range of the Williams, that could be massive for the race, as Alex going to look to try and get back ahead of Cookie here if he can. But I think he's actually kept Rio out of overtake mode. And I think all he's wanting to do is, you've seen him wiggling the wheel, I think all he was worried about is Rio Harris behind. He doesn't want to fight Cookie, but he just wants to, he wanted some battery there to use to escape Rio Harris. Meanwhile, Ty Clear on the inside of Codzilla. And can Ty disappear down the road? Yes, he will. No battery for Cod to defend, and Ty now into P9, and Ty on a strong strategy along with Ollie. Has Ollie got a new front wing on as Creamy gets ahead of Ollie Bean? And the Alpine Ollie, I think he's still out there with a broken wing. Yet hasn't fixed his wing, but hasn't done him too much harm. He's still P8, and with Alex and Rio still needing the box, Ollie could be in at P6, although I'm sure Alex and Rio will be very quick on their mediums. Diggs now down the inside of Ollie. Ollie picks the outside of Creamy, and they've both got ahead of Creamy down into turn 3 as Diggs through into P13. And what a move there. As it sounded like Mallard made some mistake into right before the castle section. Meanwhile, Nis right on the rear of Rio Harris as Rio looks to try and stick with Alex if he can. As Cookie sets the fastest lap, and can Rio now use Nis to try and carry him to the rear of Alex? Does Rio have overtake available on this lap? We'll have a wee look, shall we? Oh, he doesn't. Nis has got the overtake, neither does Alex, neither does Rio, so Nis will be able to use overtake mode for this lap. Rio will not, as Mallard gets ahead of Codzilla, and Mallard up to P10. He's having a fine race in the Mercedes as Creamy and Ollie Bean swap positions, and Creamy into P14 as he weaves down the back straight as Ollie looks to catch the McLaren. Oh, and this big crunch to the wall. Did he get damage? He may have got some damage. I don't know if it was visual or not. Doesn't seem like it was visual damage, but he may have some light green wing or even yellow wing. But now can this get ahead of Alex, and Alex now surely worried about Rio Harris, who's on a charge in behind. Their pace is somewhat even, but if Rio gets overtake mode, that's going to help him massively. And Alex Is he going to come in this lap as Nis pulls just ahead? And Alex does come in this lap. Rio's going to stay out another lap. Was that the right move? We will find out at the end of this race. But Rio's had definitely one of the driver of the day performances so far. Gone from last to P3 as things stand, but is still yet to box. So we'll see where he ends up. Diggs on the rear of Dub Z. Ollie Bean in behind Creamy. Thory following suit. And Dub going to come into the pit lane, which will make Diggs' life easy. Ollie being right on the rear of Thory. Can he find the exit on the Cadillac? In the background though, Pablo's letting through Lord. Not quite sure what's happened there. Maybe a bit of contact between you two and Pablo's just letting him through. Or maybe he realises Lord's on better tyres as Lord cooks the rears. And that's not what you need to be doing when you're trying to get caught up to the pack. But points go down to P16. Pablos and Lord currently battling over them. But Ollie being with that 3-second time penalty may cost himself chance at points here this evening and for Williams. Meanwhile, Rio into the box now. And where will Rio exit? As Alex undercutting, we'll see how big an impact it has. I think it's had a massive impact. As Raz is ahead of Rio as well. Gordon, will he be able to put any pressure on Rio? No, Rio out. Let's look at the gap there. Around 7 seconds in a lap. That is a massive, massive undercut. I really doubt Rio will be able to get caught up to Alex now doing that extra lap. We'll wait and see. Meanwhile, Ollie on a very strong set of tyres. Currently P8. And going to put pressure on Gordon. And P7 on the cards for Ollie. You also got to think about Cyclex, currently P3, but does have a 10-second time penalty. Ollie doing well here considering he has end plate damage. Right end plate gone for the Alpine, but still driving strong here. As Lord now right on the rear of Ollie Bean. Pablo's following this, battling behind. As Lord had a little brush of the inside wall there, I believe. And Lord losing the rear through almost every corner. And Pablo's putting the pressure on. As Ollie being massive contact with the wall. Ollie gets ahead of Gordon. Gordon comes in for another pit stop. But Ollie being with a lot of damage there now. Surely going to enable Lord to get right ahead of the Williams. As the Williams doesn't get a perfect line through there. And Lord going to follow straight on through. Pablo's going to follow him through. And surely Ollie got to come in for another set of tyres. Meanwhile, Gordon, in a bit surprisingly, we'll keep an eye where he exits. Exits into P10, drops down the order. And he'll be on the hards to the end. We'll keep an eye, does he make much inroads? Pablo's putting pressure on Lord. We got a yellow flag out. And it's for Cyclex. Cyclix has gone deep at turn 15, and the Audi, I don't think he has a front wing. I mean, he's missing the nose entirely, but I think he's actually broken his real front wing as well. But that is not how an Audi Formula 1 car is supposed to look. But at least in this case, Cyclix can get his front wing removed. Or, well, his 10-second penalty removed. Oh, almost massive damage there with Cyclix. Gonna get, and he's retired from the session. And he is upset with how his race has gone. Rio's actually got end plate damage on this Cadillac, so maybe catching Alex now is out of the question for Rio, but maybe he can get caught to Raza Gamer as he's on the better tyres. But Cyclix, his race unfortunately ended here on lap 19. We're just going to promote all the drivers up one spot as Diggs comes into the box. Meanwhile, Lord and Pablos joining this train. Lord on the better tyres than Pablos, Thori and Creamy. But can Lord put any pressure on Thori down into turn 3? Lord in the Mercedes looks for the move down the inside, and Lord makes that move stick. And Lord up into P11 as he looks to hunt down Noah next, as Pablos gonna try and put pressure on Thori, and Lord in behind as Thori makes a little mistake. Might open the door momentarily to Pablos, but Pablos doesn't have the extra grip to try and get through here, as Lord Thori locks the rears through turn 7, and Pablos right on the rear of the Cadillac, putting pressure all over him. And can Pablos get a way through on the Cadillac, who seems to be losing touch and distance from Lord, who's all over the rear of Creamy, as Ollie Bean picks up a 3-second time penalty. A quick look at the fastest lap. Yeah, Cookie's still holding it, but Diggs not too far away, Nis not too far away. But the battles to watch here. Lord on the rear of Noah. Pablos gets ahead of Thori. And Lord on the rear as well. Pablos up into P12. Thori going to try and stick with the Ferrari driver, as Lord right on the rear of the McLaren. And can Lord find a way through on Creamy? Creamy going to look to go defensive, as the Mercedes going to try and dive it around the outside. But Creamy defending well and parks his car exactly where it needs to. Lord gonna look through at turn 4, down the inside he goes, side by side. And can Lord make it stick? It'll be a beautiful move if he can. He has. Brilliant move from the Mercedes, finds some extra grip on the inside. And Lord now up into P10. Brilliant drive from the Mercedes driver. And unfortunately for Lord, as good as that move was, I think the best he can do in this race is probably P10, as Creamy goes deep at turn 7 and opens the door to Pablos. So the Pablos in the Ferrari gets through, as Rio Harris now through on Raza Gamer down their main straight. But Rio Harris carrying some damage here. And will Raza be able to hold on to Rio as a result? As Raza on the rear of the Cadillac, but unable to find a way through. But Raza all needs to do is stick with Rio, and that opportunity may arrive later in the race, with Rio's tyres getting worse and also the damage making them even worse as well. Meanwhile, Dobb and Cod battle over P14. Diggs gets the fastest lap as he looks to bring home the extra point to Red Bull. Gordon gets through on Mallard as Mallard makes a mistake out of turn 6, and maybe some damage from Mallard. Not quite sure. He's got damage in the right end plate. I don't think it came from that incident, but he went a little bit deep into turn 6, and that's allowed Gordon through now into P8, and Mallard going to look just to hold on to P9 if possible. Got a 12-second gap to Lord behind, so you'd think Mallard could pull it off. He just needs to manage the hard stay in, and surely P9 will be Mallard's. A fantastic result from Mallard, who is driving in Tier 2 this season, but one of the highest Tier 2 finishers in Tier 1, that's for sure, as he's lost his nose as well. Just seems to be periodically people losing noses. Gordon's lost his nose. Ty has his. He's not lost sniffing capabilities. As Raz has now lost touch with Rio Harris. So Rio going from P20 to P4 as things stand. But here on lap 22 of 26, Cookie possibly annoyed that his fastest lap was taken. But I doubt he'll do something crazy like box and try and fight his way back through again, because only 4 or so laps left to try and catch Nis here if he were to do something like that. So it looks like Cookie's just going to hold on. Meanwhile, Thorey down the inside of Creamy as Creamy looks to defend. Oh, that's yellow flag, and Lord's went deep. We heard the tyres squealing as Lord, who essentially had P10 nailed and in the bag, has made a mistake and now down to P13 goes Lord. And that's promoted Pablo, Thorey and Creamy up a position. As Lord still has some tyres left though, so he could try and get back ahead of Thorey and Creamy. He's got to recompose after that mistake, as he has a little touch of the wall, and we know once you make one mistake you can start to make 100. The difficulty around making a mistake is keeping it composed. And can Lord keep it composed and hold on? As the rear steps out on the Mercedes, and with that little mistake he may have lost overtake mode from Creamy and Thorey, and might start to invite the likes of Dubsy, who's on the charge, with Codzilla and Diggs just behind. Thorey now on the rear of Creamy. Can he get ahead of the McLaren? Doesn't look close enough to go for the move. In the background, got Diggs ahead of Codzilla into P15, and Diggs must have made some sort of mistake, because I think he was P14 earlier, and it's now dropped down behind Codzilla. He's going to try and get back ahead of Dubsy. I'm not quite sure if he was P16 or P14. I think he was P14, but Lord now trying to recompose himself and get back up in to P12, P11, P10. He was in P10, but Pablo's now might have that cemented until the end of the race, unless he makes a similar mistake to the likes we've seen from Lord there, as Diggs right on the rear of Dubsy, and Dubsy almost caught napping there in the middle sector, but Diggs doesn't want to go for anything too crazy. Oh, he almost loses the rear. That opens the door to Codzilla, and Codzilla trying to find a way through, but unable to, as Lord right on the rear of Thorey, as Thorey losing touch and distance from Creamy, with the Mercedes breathing down his neck. Can Lord find a move here on Cadillac in the Thorey? Cadillac last time out, or the Cadillac of Thorey last time out, picked up his maiden podium in WHF Tier 1. Got promoted via penalties into P3 in Canada. And Thorey definitely having his best season so far, as he looks to defend from Lord, who's on the charge on the 3 laps younger tyres. As Lord now, into the rear of Thorey. Not quite sure what Lord was thinking, but does get round the outside. I mean, Who knows? As Diggs right on the rear of Dubsy, unable to get ahead. It looked like Thorey was moving over, but slightly too late as Diggs does get through on Dubsy. As Diggs now not too far away from Thorey and Lord. And all these runners in behind on fresher mediums, so might be able to put some pressure on these last 3 laps of this mini train led by Creamy. Creamy in P11, but you never know. One mistake could drop you down to P16. That's how close this train is at the back of the field. And Lord now was in P10 when he made the mistake earlier. Oh, I was about to say that's not a place you want to go for a move, as he is sniffing the rear of this McLaren through the middle sector. As he crunches the wall, does the Mercedes. Cadillac following in suit. Diggs now right on the rear of this battle, and this could be massive for Diggs' race. Potentially 3 positions gained if he can play his cards right. He's on the much fresher mediums in this pack. So does he have the tyres to use? We'll wait and see. As Lord now on the rear of Creamy and Can Lord. Recover to P11. As Creamy weaving in behind. Diggs does get through on Thorey. And Lord now gonna look for the move on Creamy as Creamy goes defensive, and Lord thinking better of a move, but now Diggs joining this battle. Got ahead of Thorey. And Lord's gonna make a move sooner rather than later, otherwise Diggs could put his hand in the hat for P11. As Lord now trying to get ahead of Creamy. Creamy defending the inside. Will Lord break later? Creamy on the inside. Breaks late, but no, Diggs, bit of contact. Thorey in the background, also bit of contact. And Diggs tried to send his nose in on the inside of the Mercedes, and the Mercedes, a little bit of contact with the Red Bull. Not quite sure what happened there, but I think everyone has survived as of now, as we've started the final lap on board of Cookie, and Cookie's in Sector 1, so we'll keep an eye on him for when he crosses the line. But this battle is over on the inside. Lord looking on the inside of Creamy, looking for a move. But still a lot of battle left in here to go. With P11 to P16 could go any way towards the end here. We've also got Gordon actually on the rear of Ty Clear. This battle came out of nowhere. Gordon, who was on the recovery drive, doing a different strategy to everyone else, got into P7 now and should hold on to that position. Meanwhile, Lord in behind Creamy once again. And does he have the battery to get ahead of the McLaren? As Lord now down the inside of the McLaren. And will the McLaren have enough in tow to defend here? Don't think he has enough as Diggs right on the rear. Dubsy down the inside of Thorey. Dub gets through on the Cadillac as Diggs down the inside of Creamy as well. And Creamy now loses 2 spaces in 2 corners as we're going to head up to the front where Cookie weaves as he crosses the line and wins in Baku by a mile. Cookie wins by almost 15 seconds to Nis in behind. It was not an easy task for Nis. Nis had to fight his way back, but gets P2 in the end, and that is the minimum that Nis would have wanted to take as Nis finishes P2. Alex, despite his race not going his way, Alex into P3 still gets a podium for Williams. Rhea with a brilliant driver of the day performance gets P4. As down the order we go, Thorey loses out to Codzilla, and Diggs continues to chase after Lord. We're keeping an eye on this battle to the line, as Ollie should finish in P6 as he crosses the line now ahead of Gordon and Ty Clear. Mallard in P9, a brilliant result for the Mercedes driver, although the Tier 2 reserve driver that is. As we'll keep an eye on Diggs and Lord to the line, and we burn everything here. Does Diggs if he wants to get ahead of the Mercedes. As he charges on the rear of the Mercedes, Diggs on the outside. Can he beat him to the line? And yes, he does. Diggs into P11. Snatches P11 away from Lord as Godzilla looks to chase Dub Z, but can't get it. And Thori in P16 grabs the final points paying position. But a magnificent race there from Cookie, winning in dominant fashion. Ahead of Nis and Alex. And we've got Ryu Harrison. Welcome in, Ryu. How'd your race go?
Yeah, it was alright. I mean, nothing special. Kind of boring, to be honest. I mean, 20th to 4th, not the worst in the world, is it? In Baku especially, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Could have been a podium if I actually could have qualified, but take it.
Yeah, but still a very good result, getting P4 in the end. But we did see you stayed on an extra lap than Alex. Did you think that was the right decision, or should you have went in the same lap as Alex?
I just wanted to tire off it, really. There's no right or wrong decision, because even if I did stay out, even if I did pit, I would have been behind him. So either way, I wasn't going to get the podium. P4 was probably the maximum.
And did you get damaged there at any point? I think I've seen your end plate missing.
Yeah, the game was just, it was inconsistent lockups, and then into turn 3, I double front locked, so I had to flick to try and not go straight on. That resulted in my rear sliding, and I tapped the ball, but yeah.
Well, still P4, and I'm going to double check where we head next time out. We head to Mexico. Is that one of your favourite tracks?
Ugh. Mexico, no.
Well, you've heard it here first. Guaranteed pole position for your house next time out in Mexico.
Right.
But hopefully you'll enjoy it next time out. At least you'll be able to qualify, so you've that to look forward to. But congrats on the P4 anyway, Rio. But we'll move on to the man of the hour. Cookie's just joined us here, and Cookie, another dominant victory. How did that one go for you?
Felt like I was in a flow state type shit.
I'm joking.
No, that's good. It's kind of weird towards the end there because it's been thundering like a motherfucker, and my AI would have pit because it was on a 2-stop. If I disconnected, but held up. Was good. I think if Nis was able to stay in the DRS, he would have kept up, but I think he got cucked by another driver overtaking him under.
I think
VSC.
I think there might have been like a VSC glitch where the VSC was coming out earlier for Nis because twice. I can't remember. Silex had to apologise to Nis for basically illegally overtaking him, because I'm assuming on Silex's screen that the VSC didn't come out, but then for Nis it did. So a bit annoying. But yeah.
I think I gained a few seconds with that, so that was nice.
But anyway, next time we head to Mexico, is that one of your favourite tracks?
I mean, I wouldn't say favorite, but it's a consistent track. You know, no walls coming to molest you or anything like that. But yeah, it should be good. I don't know if you caught it, but on lap 2, I almost did I don't know if Alex did the same thing, but I locked up. Like, I don't know why I touched my brakes and I just went completely fucking straight in one of the corners, and I was very close to just knocking my wing off. I think it was like lap 2. But I was able to understeer out of it, like just barely. And outside of that, I don't think there's a foot wrong.
Well, very good result, and very good race again, Cookie. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to Alex, who Alex is having such a strong drive, but as Cookie mentioned, unfortunately did encounter that mistake where you went straight on, and that was so unlucky because you had such a strong drive. I thought you deserved P2, but then that mistake unfortunately cost you. But Alex, how'd that race go?
Yeah, it was alright. Right, here's my mic work.
Yeah, your mic's working.
Cool. Right. It was alright. I mean, it's just one of that. You're stuck in your own. And then I tapped the brakes and I just went straight up. And then I just reversed out because I know you get a penalty reset to track.
But
Should have reset.
we did see you battle your way through. It was Cyclex and Ness at the start. You started on the hards. Did you think that was the right strategy? And as we were watching, I mean, it did turn out kind of be the right strategy because you were doing very well on it. Just the mistake unfortunately cost you. But did you expect that strategy to work so well?
I only go hard at the start of every race, so I can just like stick in people's overtake and let them carry me along. When their tyres die, I can just overtake and work it from there.
But you still get a podium. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. I was never beating them, so they're too fast.
But congrats anyway on the podium, Alex. And as we head to Mexico, is that one of your favourite tracks?
No, mate, I hate the board hoppers.
Well, good to see so many people looking forward to Mexico next time out. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed,
calendar.
Sometimes I just like to spice it up with just randomness, you know. But thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please drop a follow. Also, make sure to follow Brendan Lee on your way over, as Brendan Lee is the GOAT. But thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please drop a follow, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time as we head to Mexico for Tier 1. But thank you all for watching. I've been WHF Arrow, and goodbye.